I would just like to take a moment here to introduce our panel moderator, Mary Smith, who is a retired attorney. She's a member of the New Mexico Civil Legal Services Commission and the state's bar's Legal Services and Programs Committee. She's also been a longtime advocate for legal services for low and moderate income New Mexicans. And with that, I will turn it over to Mary, who will be our moderator for today. She will be introducing our various panelists who are representing judicial districts from across the state of New Mexico. And the topic again today is self-help court resources. And these are resources that are available to the public that want to do self-presentation in the courts. And Mary, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Juan. I just want to confirm and restate what Juan had mentioned earlier, that if the attendees can hold their questions until the end of the presentation, because we've got a number of presenters and we want to make sure they can get information out to you, and then we'll have a panel discussion. Please put your questions in the chat, and I will moderate that or keep track of that and ask questions of the panelists as we go along. So please hold your questions until the end, and put your questions in. I'm gonna assume either chat or Q&A. Juan, do you have anything different to say about where you want questions to go?
They can put them in either locale, and just we will feed them to the panelists. Okay,
great. So with that, I'd like to wish everyone a good afternoon. As Juan had said, I'm an attorney and I'll moderate today's webinar. The New Mexico Access to Justice Commission's Community Engagement and Integration Team continues its webinar series that is intended to introduce people to, in all of New Mexico communities, large and small, to the available civil, not criminal, legal services that are available. Today's webinar will spotlight a few of the state court's self-help services that can sometimes fill the gap between having a lawyer represent a client and the client representing themselves. The courts can be scary and complicated for these self-represented litigants, and each of the panelists today will highlight specific services that their program provides, and to hopefully reduce some sort of that anxiety about having to deal with a court. Again, the individual presentations will be followed by a Q&A session with the panelists fielding the audience questions. As I mentioned, our format is that we will have each one of the courts talk about their services and their programs individually. Then we will convene them as a panel where they can discuss amongst themselves as well their services, or ask each other questions if that's the case. And then also that panel, that full panel, will be the ones that will take the questions. So let me get started with the introduction of our panelists. We're going to wait on, or hopefully be able to get one of our panelists, Renee Valdez, from the Metropolitan Court in Albuquerque online, because she has a pretty robust program as well. So we will start.
And Renee is here. She's under mediation right here on.
Oh, there I go. Hi, Renee. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay, all right. Then let's get started with the introduction of the panelists, and I'll do all of the panelists first, and then I'll come back to Renee to allow her to get a sip of water and get settled. We all have the same problems, Renee, so don't worry about this. Renee Valdez is a paralegal for the Metropolitan Court Self-Help Center in Albuquerque. Renee began her career with the judiciary in 2001, where she was hired to create the Self-Help Center at Metropolitan Court. Prior to working for the judiciary, Renee worked for law firms for 10 years. She serves on several statewide committees, including the Language Access Advisory Committee, State Bar Legal Services and Programs Committee, and the Court Consortium Committee. Renee is bilingual in Spanish. Renee enjoys serving the public and sharing community resources, and I can vouch for that. So Renee, if you'd like to do your presentation. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to do all of the four. I forgot. So hold on, ready. Our next panelist will be, we have two people from the 12th Judicial District Court in Alamogordo and Carrizozo. Our panelists there are Lucy Bell, who works in the self-help office at the 12th Judicial District Court in Alamogordo. Lucy has been with the court since 2003, beginning as an intake clerk and later becoming a docketing clerk. Lucy also obtained a certification as language access specialist in 2014. Lucy began working in the self-help office in 2015, where she became one of the court's mediators. Lucy truly enjoys her job. She enjoys the group of people she works with and loves being an assistance to the community who needs help. Also from the 12th Judicial District is Andrea Carrillo. Andrea is a legal office specialist in the Self-Help Center for the 12th Judicial Court, serving both Otero and Lincoln counties. Andrea came to the 12th Judicial District Court in 2002 as a trial court administrative assistant. And in 2011, the court self-help center surfaced, and Andrea took on the challenge to build it from the ground up. Andrea also serves as an in-house mediator, mediating domestic, civil, and probate cases. Through her years of service at the 12th, Andrea is also called upon to fulfill the duties of the trial court administrative assistant and has worked for a mind-boggling 8 different district judges. In 2020, Andrea received the Non-Attorney Professionalism Award from the local bar. Prior to working for the court, Andrea worked for the law office of Overstreet and Associates. Andrea is a native New Mexican and enjoys traveling, reading, sewing, gardening, crafting, and spending time with her husband, Benny, her children, and her grandchildren. Our last panelist is Asia Nicole Brooks. Asia is a native New Mexican born in Hobbs. She is a graduate of Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where she received her bachelor's degree in English and Spanish. She attended the University of New Mexico School of Law and graduated with her Juris Doctorate in 2008. Asia works as the director for the 2nd Judicial District Court's Center for Self-Help and Dispute Resolution in Albuquerque. She is involved in many legal groups and activities, including the Committee on Diversity in the Legal Profession and the Bridge the Gap Mentorship Program. Asia is president of the New Mexico Black Lawyers Association, the secretary of Region 10 of the National Bar Association, a board member of the ACLU of New Mexico, a board member of the New Mexico Black Central Organizing Committee, and a member of the Iota Xi Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Asia enjoys exploring and traveling near and far with her husband, John, and their adorable son, Emerson. The attendees may have seen on their flyer or the announcement that they received about the webinar that Simone Seiler of the 13th Judicial District Court in Los Lunas was going to be one of our presenters, and she was unable to make it today due to an emergency. So we will absolutely make do with the other 4 of our panelists, and I'm delighted to have them. And we'll begin with Renee Valdez of Metro Court in Albuquerque. Welcome, Renee, and take it from here.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We're excited to share about our programs that we offer here at the courthouse. You know, it's kind of like a best kept secret, but not really. A lot of people do know about us and find their way to our office, and we're happy they do, so that we could provide them the access and service that they need to our judicial systems. So I'm going to share my screen. It says host disabled participants screen sharing.
Sorry, working on it.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll just go ahead and share about our programs. So the Metropolitan Court, the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan Court is the same as magistrate courts around the state. So those types of courts handle matters such as small claims, which includes landlord-tenant, and small claims can include things like wage claims, debt collections, contract disputes. You know, there's an array of small claim civil matters. Small claims limits are up to the $10,000 limit. And the courts have forms and around the state to help you navigate that. You know, these courts are called the People's Court. And so people should be able to come to the court, and a lot of people represent themselves at these court levels and be able to navigate that with instructions and information. And so we put together some procedural pamphlets that are on the court website. And if I get to share screen, I can share that with you, but the court website is nmcourts.gov. We are good to go, Allison? Okay, great. Let me share my screen with you all. Let's see. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to screen share. I'm a little backed up because I was having a hard time logging in, and that was my fault. I was supposed to register, so I'm sorry. But I could show, I think hopefully somebody can show the court website where you can find that information. And so the court website has all the forms that you would be able to access to file for small claims. But what I wanted to share about our self-help center in particular, we're located in Albuquerque, and we're available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We have paralegals that staff our office, and we provide forms. We have a forms wall in the self-help center where people can just come in and take a form, or we have forms walls actually in our customer service area. If there are people that want to grab a form and information, they can just pull that form up. Oh, here we go. Thank you. So this is the court self-help center page here that you're seeing. And you can see there that we have different types of, if you go down a little bit more, it talks about, you know, eviction prevention diversion program. Our statewide, we're working on an eviction diversion program that can offer some access to rental assistance. We've been working with the state government. There's been some federal funding that has been given to help with that. And then you go through and there's pamphlets, and then all the forms that go through with each of those pamphlets. So this is our website, and these forms, you can click on them and you can fill them in and you can print them. And our self-help staff, we provide services in-house, so you can actually sit and talk to a paralegal and get information as you go through the form, or we can answer any questions about the process. And we can also email forms. So if there's someone that may not be necessarily in Albuquerque, they can always call our office, and we're happy to email and provide you those forms that way as well. We also provide a monthly clinic. We recruit volunteer attorneys. So there's a lot of attorneys that want to help the community, and we have a pool of volunteers that we recruit to talk to people, and we're doing these remote. So you can call our office and get signed up. It's the second Friday of each month. And so we would sign you up, and an attorney would call you and provide you some free legal advice over the phone. It's a one-time service, but it's a great service to be able to know how best to represent yourself in a case. We also collaborate with our mediation office. I'm a trained mediator, and our office actually is self-help and mediation. So we always encourage, if you're going to represent yourself, if there's ways to resolve things, mediation is a good avenue to take, because it allows you to be less formal. It allows you to have a conversation and see if there's a way to work things out in a confidential manner. So mediation is a good option for resolving disputes, and statewide mediation programs exist at the Metropolitan and the Magistrate Court level. So that's always a good option to resolve any disputes with the court. We also collaborate with New Mexico Legal Aid, other self-help centers. As you can see on the panel, we have quite a few of us that do this type of work. We really enjoy being able to be available at the court to provide this type of service to the public so that they can have the access that they need. In so many ways, we're a navigator. So we, basically hold hands and not literally, but we walk you through each process of the court. And then you can see the website here. On the website, we have a Language Access Services tab. If you go to the Language Access Services tab, you can see that we have an avatar, and her name is Clara. And Clara speaks Spanish, and she speaks Navajo. And so language access is a very big part of the judicial system and making sure that you all have access in any language. So we have signs posted, and language interpreters are provided at no cost. It just needs to be told to the court that you need a language interpreter, and at any hearing, a language interpreter will be available. Outside of the courtroom, including our self-help centers, we have available interpreters, or access to interpreters by phone and by video. So we can provide language access at any point of contact throughout the courthouse. And we also have some forms in another language. And I think that pretty much covers, the areas that we mostly get a lot of questions on are landlord-tenant. Landlord-tenant, it's been a really tough time during this pandemic for both landlords and tenants, with just, dealing with economic, downfalls and such. And so, collaborating with rental assistance programs to let people know what's available in that way, giving instructions to landlords about how that process works and providing forms. So that's one area that we provide a lot of service in. We also have a public kiosk in our self-help center. So it really is like a resource center. When you walk into our office, we have a computer that a public person can sit down. They could use and print any forms, type up their forms, their fillable forms, and type them and print them out, and being able to file them once they printed them. And we're hoping, in the future, some of the things that we want to continue to build in our self-help centers are things like volunteer navigators. In some ways we are navigators, but we really can't literally walk you to each step of the way because we have other customers we have to serve. But there is a plan to, recruit some volunteer, and they may be, students, and sometimes even retired attorneys that could help someone, sit in the courtroom and be a second set of ears or eyes. And so we're hoping, that the navigation system could be something that we can look for in the future. I'm hoping to have maybe some more public kiosks to help people be able to use that and be able to help themselves with filling out forms and such. And I think that's, covers most of what we do here in our self-help center. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Our next panel presentation will come from the 12th Judicial District Court. And so I'll turn that over to Lucy Bell and to Andrea Carrillo from the 12th to make their presentation. Thank you, ladies.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Mary. So here at the self-help at the 12th Judicial District, we help people who want to represent themselves in court, or people who just simply cannot afford attorneys. We cannot provide legal advice, but we strongly urge our clientele to seek the advice of an attorney, a New Mexico licensed attorney. We do have a list of attorneys that practice law here in Otero and Lincoln counties. that's provided by our local bar. So we give that out constantly, and we strongly urge them to seek the advice of an attorney. But you know, most people that we see, they just can't afford it. And so that's basically usually our clientele. Something that we do have here in the 12th is we have a web page that I'm going to share with you as well. So here in the 12th, can you see our web page? Okay, here it is. Okay, so on our web page, we have directions to, I'm going to show you the directions to our forms. So these forms are free on our website. They are also, if you don't have access to, or you're not real savvy at, you know, the internet, I don't mind emailing. We don't mind emailing the forms to you. They're also sold downstairs in our clerk's office. There's two ways to get to our forms in our district court forms. One is on the left-hand side. You can click on forms. It'll take you to our forms page. And then we have these orange brownish folders. Click on district court. We have several forms under general forms, domestic relations, domestic abuse, civil forms, criminal, expungement forms that are fairly new. So we don't help people fill out their forms, but we do guide them through filling out their forms. We also can rephrase questions on their forms that they're having trouble with. A lot of people we find don't read real well. And so we can help them, you know, get to where they can fill out the form themselves. We also are able to look through their forms, make sure there's no blanks. Come across one, we're like, oh, you missed something. And so that's something that people like to, when they come to self-help, just make sure I'm not missing something so it doesn't get kicked back. And then, of course, here in the on our website, we also have direction to some self-help guides. So if you'll click on self-help and then representing yourself guide, again, we have the self-help center that Lucy and I work at. We do provide services for district court as well as magistrate court. And so our self-help forms are here under district court. We also refer people to the New Mexico Supreme Court approved self-help guides, which are very, very useful. These guides are very helpful when we're assisting others from other areas of the state that do not have self-help centers, or they're calling from out of state. We often refer people to these checklists that are very, very useful. So what we're busy with the most here at district court down here in the South is domestic violence, divorce, custody, kinship, guardianship, and name change. We also have a lot of questions regarding child support. I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but you can calculate child support yourself. And so we can give them direction to this toolbar that has the self-help guide on it. And then, of course, we have the child support worksheet. We always recommend read the little tabs. They're useful, they're helpful. Of course, you have the power of attorney for adults and the medical power of attorneys as well. Also on our website, what I wanted to highlight was the video tutorials that some of our judges and hearing officers created. These video tutorials are very explanatory and informational. Because of COVID, these were created. COVID made us all come into a situation that required us to learn new avenues on how to prepare and present in court. And so we always recommend these video tutorials to pro se litigants. Very, very useful. One other thing that we do here at Self-Help is we provide resources. We have a local resource list, which contains information about food banks, support groups, counseling services, you know, anything that, any type of resource that you could find in Otero County, and then as well as Lincoln County. We also provide, like Renee said, state resources like legal aid, lawyer referral for the elderly, anything available. When I started this program, I went to Metro Court a lot, got guidance from Renee and her forms. I went to the 3rd Judicial, got guidance from, you know, their employees. But Self-Help is great. It's great for pro se litigants. People are at their worst when they come here. And so helping them is a good feeling. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to my coworker, Lucy Bell, who will talk more about what we do at Magistrate Court.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Lucy Bell, and I work side by side with Miss Andrea. I've had the pleasure of knowing her since I've been with the courts. I think she started 1 year before me, so we're going to kind of retire somewhere around the same time, we're hoping anyway, so we'll see what happens. In any case, so what I wanted to talk to you guys is what we do with Self-Help with our magistrate court people. There's 3 magistrate courts that we assist people here within our district. In Otero County, we have the Alamogordo Magistrate Court, which they're located at 263 Robert Bradley Drive. The judge there presiding over that court is Judge Suggs for the moment. There's another judge that got elected, and he'll start here next year. There's 2 magistrate courts in Lincoln County. One is in the Ruidoso town. It's Ruidoso Magistrate Court. They're located at 301 West Highway 70, Suite 2, right next door to the MVD. Judge Lund is the presiding judge there. The second one in Lincoln County is the Carrizozo Magistrate Court, and they're located at 310 11th Street, Carrizozo. Judge Vega is the presiding judge there. All great people. And I think I don't need to go into depth. I think Rene covered it really well on what the Metropolitan Court and the Magistrate Courts do. You know, of course, they are the courts of limited jurisdiction. They can only hear certain types of cases. The number one case that we help, people with are the landlord and tenant issues down here as well. That is a really hot topic, especially during the COVID era there. It was really, we were getting constantly everyday questions on landlords and tenants. And the second hot topic too there is the small claims, civil cases under $10,000. I think those are the major areas that we and Andrea and I both work with our pro se litigants. Of course, they handle other small types of cases as well, traffic citations, property damage claims, preliminary felony offenses as well. We don't get too many of those, but every once in a while we do get to help people with some of these things and kind of explain to them the process. As far as like the self-help, I mean, the way we kind of reach out to our litigants is they, have the choice of either going to the clerk's office, which all the clerks in both courts, district and magistrate courts, they're all great people, very knowledgeable. If they cannot feel like they can help them all the way, then of course they refer them to us. They come here with us. They come into the office during normal business hours, and we're here. One of us is usually here When one of us is in a mediation, the other one's out here helping in self-help. Or they can reach us by phone. They call, especially the rural people that live out in Lincoln County. We get a lot of phone calls from them, asking general questions and things of that nature. And one of the ways that we do reach out to some of these people, because a lot of these people want like a hands-on kind of assistance, and that's how I prefer to work with people, is on one-on-one. It's more personable to me. I feel like I can reach them better in person versus over the phone. But we do make appointments and we do travel to Lincoln County once a month. And I believe that's the third Tuesday. The Tuesday of the month. And we go down and we meet them at the Magistrate Court in Rito. So by appointments. Or if not, if they need immediate help, of course, we tell them, you're more than welcome to come down here to Otero County, to Alamogordo, and we'll be more than happy to sit with you and kind of walk you through the process of your case. With that, there are a lot of forms. I believe Ms. Renee showed the forms that are available. I'd like to share some of the, walk you guys through the steps on how to get to the forms that we have available on the website that we have here with the 12th. And let me see if this works, because I am not computer savvy. Of course, it would not work. Let me see. Can you guys see that? Pretty good, I hope.
Yes, we see it. You're good.
Yeah, okay, good. All right. So again, this is our particular tab on the judiciary website, the 12th Judicial District. When you click on forms over here, we have them all. There's a district court and then the magistrate court. And of course, as you see here, we have them categorized with civil, the criminal, and the Mobile Home Park Act, and the Uniform Resident Relations Act, which is the landlord-tenant stuff. So, usually when people come in, they're in a quandary, especially landlords. They want to evict their tenants, so, we show them where the forms are available. They can get them free off of the website, or, we print them out for them. They pay for the copies in the clerk's office. But this is, we kind of direct them how to get to the forms and kind of explain to them, here's the forms. Again, like Andrea said, we cannot help them per se, tell them here, this is what you write in, but we can kind of explain to them, okay, this is what it says. And a lot of times I have found that people just want it read out loud to them, and it makes more sense to them when we read that out to them. But yeah. And one of the other things that I also do is I work with the Spanish speaking litigants that come through the court. I am certified to speak Spanish and to help them in the Spanish language. And I do get a lot of them. I get a lot of people from the Chaparral we're so close to the border that they come in and, they need help with trying to evict a tenant or, with any other issues that they may have. So, and I enjoy truly working with them. The resource that we do have available for all the people that come through needing help with magistrate court. One of the ones that I go to, and it's my number one source for landlord tenants, of course, is the renter's guide that is available through the New Mexico legal aid. It's forgot their website. NewMexicoLegalAid.org is their website, but this is their website here, and you can find the renter's guide, which that is our like Bible here in self-help. It has all of the questions and things that the landlords or tenants have when they come in through our court. When you click on the book that's available there, it's in chapters. So if they have a particular question, such as, how do I get my deposit back from my landlord? He won't give it back to me, or there's repairs that need to be done, so it's all right here. And we do have a book here in the office. We have several in Spanish and a few in English. So what we do is we copy these chapters and say, here, give it to them. And it actually, I think it gives them an idea on what they need to do, how they need to, move forward with their case. Because like Andrea said, I mean, a lot of people just don't have the resource, the money to hire an attorney. But again, I mean, we always recommend that they do seek the advice of an attorney before they start any legal action, especially if it's something that they've never been through. The other form of resource that we do have here is the law referral for the elderly. And that's a program that is sponsored through, I believe, the State Bar of New Mexico. And anybody over the age of 55 can qualify for a free legal service, which I believe is just a phone call over the phone with a licensed New Mexico attorney, but at least they get that idea of how to proceed with their case, what to do. They kind of get a clear perspective on the legal side of their case. And there's a number. We do have also a book on that this particular legal resource gave us, and there's different chapters in there too that we copy and give to them, and kind of it explains to them in the general sense of what what their rights are and what they can do to move forward with their case. Another thing too that I love, that a great way for people to get legal help is the Pro Bono Fair that's offered through here in Otero County and Lincoln County, and I believe it comes like once a year to the counties. It's always been a very, very big success. I've got the opportunity to work with the fairs that come in. I know in the last couple of years we haven't had the opportunity to have a one-on-one anymore because of COVID. But I believe last year they had it through video, and I believe it was really successful too as well. I think anytime that, people, pro se litigants, can get some kind of help, I mean, it's so beneficial to them. One last resource that I love to also direct people to is the One Source, what's it called? New Mexico OneSource.com. And this is where people can look up their statutes and rules, so they can get familiar with their case and what they're going to do, and I mean, and I always tell people, if I can kind of maneuver it, anybody can get through it. I goes, I am not by no way internet savvy. I go, but if I can kind of get through it, I said, you can. And I also, kind of direct them. It's also, there's a link on our website. When you click on rules and statutes on the left-hand side there, it comes up. Our local rules are on there as well, but it's all different. The different chapters are on there. Rules of civil procedure in district court. That's my big thing too. When people start their process, get familiar with them because you will be expected to know them. And in conclusion, I mean, my job can be very, very rewarding. And at the same time, kind of taxing, because we do catch people in their worst time. And, but empathy, I think, plays a big part on trying to get through to that, and, I always put myself in their position, how would I want to be treated if I was going through that, and that's the frame of mind that, I always keep here is, treat them the way I would want to be treated if I was sitting on the other side of that window. Okay. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Lucy and Andrea. That was really great information. And actually what both Lucy and Andrea did is something that I'd like to do when we have the panel discussion. I'd like each one of the panelists to put up their portion of the nmcourts.gov website and then kind of scroll through it slowly so that the attendees can see what you're talking about. And for the attendees, we will also provide some additional information about the courts. I'm desperately looking through my files. I have a map of the courts that would help people who don't know what we're talking about when we say the second judicial or the 12th judicial or 13th judicial. You can see on a map of New Mexico where they are. So I'm looking for that while the panelists are talking. So our next panelist to speak will be Asia Brooks from the Second Judicial District Court in Albuquerque. So take it from here, Asia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you to the Access to Justice Commission for allowing us to give this presentation about our self-help centers. I do think it's something that some people know about, but we can always get the word out about these services to people so that they know that they're not alone, right? And so my name's Asia. I'm the director of the Center for Self-Help and Dispute Resolution at the Second Judicial District Court. That's located in downtown Albuquerque. We're at 400 Lomas Northwest, and we're in Bernalillo County. And so I mentioned our name, Center for Self-Help and Dispute Resolution. So like the Metro Court, we do both things. We do self-help, and a part of what we do is dispute resolution as well. We provide services to people who want to represent themselves without an attorney, and also who, can't, for whatever reason, afford an attorney. They don't have an attorney. We are here to help them navigate through the legal system, which can be very confusing and very difficult sometimes. We also provide alternative methods of dispute resolution. So like ADR is what it's called, through the court. And the goal of that is early, fair, and efficient and cost-effective resolution of disputes through some sort of different sort of avenue. So in our case, that would be settlement facilitation and arbitration. We have both of those programs in the second. I'm just going to touch a little bit on those dispute resolution programs. We have court annexed civil arbitration, and we also have civil and family court settlement facilitation. We also have a foreclosure settlement program here in the Second Judicial District Court. I'll give a little bit more information about that in a second. We also support the Second Judicial District Court pro bono committees, legal clinics, and fairs. Most of those are done by New Mexico Legal Aid's volunteer attorney program, and they are mostly telephonic since the pandemic. And so those happen usually on a monthly basis. I know there's one coming up in August specific to expungement on August the 18th. So a little shout out for that. Hopefully, if you have folks that need an expungement or need assistance, they are signed up for that clinic with New Mexico Legal Aid's volunteer attorney program. So our center, I think, is probably the largest in the state. We have one attorney supervisor, that's me. And then our self-help center has 6 paralegals. We're currently hiring for another paralegal position, and we have 1 judicial specialist too. Our foreclosure settlement program that I mentioned has 1 program manager and 3 attorney associates. And so we have a pretty large program here at the Second. My self-help team, and I think I saw one of them is actually a participant in this webinar. So shout out to her, shout out to them. They do a large bulk of the interaction with the public, and they've honed their skills over years and years of how to really assess the situation and help. We provide limited forms. We provide referrals to legal service organizations. We provide information about rules and procedures and in different areas of law, right? A lot of what we see is family. We see parentage, child custody, child support, lots of kinship guardianship, lots of divorce, both with and without children. We also have forms in the areas of emancipation, step-parent adoption, and then also corresponding responses to some of those motions. We have civil cases that come through our court. We have driver's license restoration cases, name changes, civil complaints, civil restraining orders, answers to civil complaints. One of the newest areas that we have is expungement. We have some areas that we don't see a ton of people coming in, but like we have packets for people in unemployment appeals, workforce solutions appeals, and probate. people can get our forms and our packets at our self-help window. They range in price from free to about $30. We're distributing them at our self-help desk for free during the pandemic. You can also get them on the website for free, and they're fillable on the website. And I guess I'll wait till the panel part to show you what our website looks like, but I'll show you where you can get those forms and where you can pull them up, and people can just download them from, you know, the comfort of their own home. We also have packets for free process, for requesting free process, and that's for people who are low income. They can't afford maybe the filing fee. The civil filing fee in our court is $132, and the domestic relations filing fee is $137. And so if people cannot afford that, they want to see if they can get that price, you know, lowered or taken away, they can file a motion for an application for free process. Our court also accepts credit and debit cards now. That just, I think, started in January or the beginning of the year. And so we are able to accept credit and debit cards for certain things. We don't help with any criminal matters. It's all civil that we do at our self-help center. Now, our court also, you know, processes criminal matters, and we have a criminal division, a criminal clerks division, so people can file here if they need to. Just going to give a little bit more detail about our program. I'm going to share my screen. I'll share our general info sheet. Let me see if it's going to let me actually. Okay. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is our, oops, sorry, I think I just took it. Can you see it? Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I'm also technologically challenged. So here's our info sheet. We have this available at our self-help window for distribution for anyone who needs this, and it's also on our website. It gives all of our information, gives our hours. We have 2 phone lines that we answer. And so one is our 505-841-6702 here at the top. The others are 505-841-7579. If people cannot get through to the 6702 line, that line gets super busy. I usually tell them to try and call the 505-841-7579 number. That's a new number that we instituted as a result of the pandemic when, you know, the court was kind of shut down a little bit. And so we needed to be able to contact people in a different way. So now we have 2 phone lines. We also communicate with people by email. So we have an email address, albdselfhelp@nmcourts.gov. And we answer those phone lines and those that email address, and also staff our self-help window from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We are offering limited services during lunch. It usually gets pretty busy around the lunch hour, but we are open during the lunch hour. As someone else mentioned, we cannot provide any legal advice. We can provide legal information, but we can do a lot. I mean, even though we're not providing legal advice, there's a lot of really useful information that we're allowed to provide to people. It's normally a 15-minute limit. That's kind of going to be flexible depending on the amount of people that we have and depending on the area of law. And so it's first come, first served. You know, we try and help people as much as we can. Sometimes we have a line out the door, sometimes we don't. And so, you know, sometimes we're able to take a little bit longer depending on the situation. We also, of course, make referrals to a number of different agencies. So we have some of those numbers listed here for domestic violence restraining orders, the Albuquerque Family Advocacy Center, New Mexico Legal Aid, landlord-tenant hotline, some of these things that we provide on our info sheet. We also have our info sheet here in Spanish as well, and that is available at our self-help center. So let's see if I can stop sharing. Here we go. All right. So our office is located, we just moved. We're on the first floor of the Second Judicial District Court, and we're in room 134. We have a self-help window there where people can come into the court and get service, in person. In our self-help center, we also have kiosks. We have computer stations where people can calculate the child support worksheets. We are very excited. We finally got on our splash page, on the first page, when you open up the kiosk, there's a button now that you just click on the button and it will take you automatically to the child support worksheet, which was very difficult to get, but we got it. Now we're working on getting access to the website from our kiosks. So that's one thing that we're still working on, but we do have the ability to do the child support worksheets, and we have case lookup on there too. If people need to go on NM Courts or NM Case Lookup to look up their case or anything like that. Just a few, some more detail about things that we can and can't do. We're governed by a Supreme Court rule. It's 23-113 on what court staff can and can't do. And some of the things were already mentioned. We can review forms for completeness. We can answer general questions via phone, email, mail. We also, if we have people send us mail, we can also communicate with them via mail. Say they're incarcerated or something like that, we're able to assist them that way. We update our forms as needed, and we provide general legal resource information to the public. Some examples of things we can't do: we can't provide legal advice. We can't provide information in sequestered or confidential or sealed cases. We can't tell people what to say in court. We can't tell them, whether to plead guilty or not guilty or things like that. We can't create documents on behalf of litigants. Now, I'm going to talk about our Scribing Program for a second, and that's a little bit of an exception. And we can't recommend a specific attorney, but like someone mentioned, we can refer them to the State Bar's website. I think the 12th has a list of, and you guys probably have a certain amount of attorneys that work in the 12th, so your list is probably going to be pretty short and succinct. We have the State Bar website, and I can't remember I should know this, but if you put in New Mexico State Bar into your browser, you can look up the State Bar's website. There's an online directory to look up attorneys, and you can actually put in the area of law that you're looking for, like the city, all of the information, and it'll pull up a list of all the attorneys and their contact information that practice in that area. So we refer to that a lot. One of the things that I don't know if people actually know about, Allison's showing you the online member directory there, which is where you can look up people, the attorneys online. So yeah, this is the State Bar's website. And if you just go to online member directory, it'll take you directly to where you can look up an attorney. So that's also, it's very, very, yeah, there it is. It's very, very helpful. And like I said, you can put in whatever you need. Even if you don't have their name, all you have to do is you just put in the area of law that you're looking up and you can find them. One thing that I don't know if people know about is the New Mexico Courts YouTube page. The New Mexico Courts system has a YouTube page. And so let me see if I can share that screen with you. Okay, let's see. Here we go. This is what it looks like. If you go to YouTube, I think people kind of know how to use YouTube maybe, but if you go into YouTube and you put New Mexico Courts, you can go to this channel. You can add this as a favorite, I think, or subscribe to it, I think is what it's called. And it has a lot of like court stuff on here, but it also has videos about like different legal issues. So I'm scrolling down. Here's one on expungement. These are like different videos on expungement that were created. There's some here on probate in both English and Spanish, you can see. And so a lot of times I'll refer people to the court's YouTube channel if they have specific questions. And like some of these are very detailed and they go through the legal issue and they tell you, they're describing kind of what things mean and all sorts of things. So very, very useful. All right. Okay, and I know I'm over my time. So I just want to touch a little bit more on our dispute resolution programs. So our arbitration program is required for all civil cases that we have where only money is at issue and there's no party seeks any money over the amount of $50,000. That amount increased from $25,000 in July. So now it's $50,000. And so all of those cases go to arbitration. And we have a arbitrator list of attorneys who have practiced for more than 5 years and who reside or work in Bernalillo County. And then those cases go to the arbitrator for an award. We also have, like I mentioned, the Civil and Family Court Settlement Facilitation Program. Those are normally when parties meet with a neutral facilitator, normally like a retired judge or attorney, and it's just a different way to resolve a dispute. Our Foreclosure Settlement Program is a program, it's a court program that originated in the 2nd and 13th Judicial District Courts. And I know Simone had her emergency come up, but her court also has a foreclosure settlement program. The program has since expanded to the 1st Judicial District Court, and I think the 13th is helping with cases in the 10th Judicial District. The 2nd is helping with cases in the 3rd Judicial District currently. And so that program actually facilitates any sort of foreclosure cases. So if there's a foreclosure case, they help the borrower and the lender, and they go through active mediation with in-house settlement facilitators to try and avoid foreclosure in Bernalillo County, because we know we don't want people to be homeless. We want people to be housed. And so that program is very successful. And like I said, we have a program manager and 3 in-house attorney facilitators for that program. The last thing that I'll mention is our scribing program. We do have a scribing program in the 2nd. I believe the 9th Judicial District Court has a scribing program also. Theirs is more structured for jury questionnaires. Ours is more structured to assist people who have low or no literacy, a disability, or speak English as a second language. And we have a limited capacity, but we're able to assist people through volunteers from an organization called Read West. Those volunteers have fillable forms in different areas of law, and they are able to transcribe what the client wants to put into the form for them. And we're able to print those forms for them so that they can file them. And so it's not that we're able to tell them what to put into the forms. We're able to sit down with them and have them describe what they would like to put into the form, and the volunteer will help to transcribe that. Many times we have people who might not have use of their hands. They might be blind. They might have issues trying to actually fill out those forms. And so it's really a very useful program. And we're very excited that we're doing it. It is a little limited to fillable forms and to forms that we have access to in the 2nd. So we have a few limitations, but it's a great program. And just some statistics of our center. I don't have our fiscal year 22 stats, but last year, fiscal year 21, we helped a total of 17,481 people, which is a lot of people. And so we're very busy, but like I said, I have a really great staff. They're awesome. They're well-versed in how to, assist people, and we don't leave people with nothing. Even if we feel like we can't give them legal advice, we don't leave them with nothing. We always leave them with something. So I just appreciate you all for allowing us to highlight our programs, and I guess we can now go to the panel part of the discussion.
Thank you, Asia. Yes, if we could just have all of the panelists available to answer questions. Like I had said, one of the things that I'd like to repeat perhaps a little bit more slowly. I still haven't found that map of the New Mexico courts. Someone's got to have that. But I can't find it. So what I'd like the panelists to do is just, again, be available to answer questions. I've been kind of keeping track of some questions, as has Juan and actually and Allison, and both of them have on more than one occasion answered the questions. So I'll just kind of ask them in the order in which I saw them, because I'm going back and forth. Oh, there it is. Who put that up? That is exactly what I'm looking for.
I found it. I can, how would you like me to share it? Would you like me to email it to you?
If you could just include that in the materials for the webinar, and
Okay.
and perhaps just kind of keep that accessible during the presentation, because I know Asia just recently talked about the 10th and the 13th, and I'm like, okay, I know where the 13th is. Where is the 10th? So we tend to engage in lawyer speak. So for the moment now, Allison, if you could leave that up on the screen, that'd be great.
No problem.
And then what we will do is, as I mentioned earlier, I'd like each one of the panelists to go through their particular court's website. And actually what I would love to do, and may need your help for this, Allison, is just to pull up the nmcourts.gov website that I mentioned at the start. And then we can highlight the self-help tab, and then we can direct people to the individual courts. And every single court that you see on this screen, and there are 13 of them in the state of New Mexico, each one of these courts has its own page within the nmcourts.gov webpage. So yes, so perfect. So each one of the district courts, the 13 district courts, Metropolitan Court, as Renee had mentioned, it's a combination of municipal and magistrate court within Bernalillo County. Lucy and Andrea had talked about their self-help center, not only covering the district courts, but also the magistrate courts. And they both talked a little bit about the magistrate court. So every one of the counties has a magistrate court, and they offer different services as well. But as Allison has pulled up on the screen, you need to do some scrolling if you have access to the internet, because there's all kinds of information offered here. So that's how you go to an individual courts, and you can use the map. Allison, is the map on the court's website?
Yes. And
Okay.
actually, I magically put it on there. No, I'm just kidding. I went to this and all of a sudden it popped up. So, hey, yay.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
It's under, so if we click off this, we're on NM Courts. If we just go to NM Courts in general,
Right.
it pops up. I was shocked.
Oh, there it is. It says a map. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So for the attendees, that's how you do it. Just go to New Mexico Courts tab, and it just pops up on the screen. I saw the map of the courts or something like that. So you'll see what court you're looking for. And then when you find the court that you're looking for, click on that to get some additional information about that particular court. And all of these are very, very well populated web pages. I mean, they have a ton of information, like all of the panelists have shown you. So please be sure to take a look at that. And then also look at the self-help Services tab at the top underneath that New Mexico Courts logo, because there's all kinds of information about the self-help websites by court and access to forms, etc. So very, very helpful website to start with. So again, if we can go to the panelists, I'm going to ask a question that I don't think any of us have an answer to. And I haven't looked at the participants to see, but there was a question by someone about the level of pro bono participation by attorneys in the state. I don't know the answer to that. Pro bono work is not required by the New Mexico Supreme Court. They do have an aspirational goal of each attorney providing 50 hours of pro bono services a year. But it's not mandatory. So in terms of how many people participate, I have no idea. I can't even imagine. And if any of the panelists have an answer to that, that would be great. There was another question that I believe got answered during Lucy's presentation about legal resources for the elderly programs, age and income limits. And I know one of the participants earlier was someone with that program. And as Lucy had said, it's for age 55 and over. You call into their hotline and talk with an attorney. They may be able to refer you to another attorney if necessary. Let me see if Natalie's still here. But as Lucy showed, just go to the nmbar.org website, and I think in the chat Juan put the link to LREP, and can check on that. But basically it's age 55 and over, and I don't believe there's income limits. I think if they're federally funded, which if I remember back in the day when I did this, the feds don't require income limitations. There was another question, and this is just sort of a request for the panelists, is to put more information on your court's website about how to physically access the self-help court. And what the requester had asked was for put the room numbers. Like Asia had mentioned, the Second Judicial District Court in Albuquerque has moved their self-help center to the first floor, but